This is Anglia Television, broadcasting a full-colour service in the east of England from the transmitters of the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
Good morning and welcome to Anglia. At 9:10 we present our Saturday morning feature film, Genghis Khan. First, over to ITN for a news report.
With British troops now re-established on the Falkland Islands, the Defence Ministry this morning gave first details of British casualties. The Ministry said there were 3 dead, 2 missing and 27 wounded, but stressed that the figures were based on initial reports. The statement said the 2 ships reported as seriously damaged had been hit by Argentine bombs. No further details were given. 3 other ships damaged less seriously are now operational. Defence sources have suggested that up to 2,500 British troops may now be on land around the beachhead at Port San Carlos on East Falkland. The Ministry of Defence in London now say British forces shot down 16 Argentine planes and 4 helicopters during yesterday's air battles. It says 1 British Harrier is missing and 2 small helicopters have been lost. The troopship Canberra has been brought into Falkland Sound between the 2 main islands. Equipment for the troops was brought ashore by helicopter. IRN's Kim Sabido, who was aboard the Canberra, went ashore with a second wave of troops as the bridgehead was being established.
We marched for 3 kilometres across boggy, windswept terrain, fanned out and with constant helicopter support. As the weather changed and the rain came in, we reached the settlement. Some 50 locals, including up to a dozen children, were busy ferrying ammunition to gunners using their tractors and trailers, dishing out soup and tea to the troops and providing much-needed shelter. All the time, Argentine jet fighters screamed overhead and grey and black smoke billowed from around the anchorage. The people told me of how the Argentines had fled from the initial attack, leaving equipment, much of it captured from the British Marines who'd surrendered here just 2 months ago, scattered around the landing place. But they stayed long enough to shoot down 2 helicopters. One crashed into the hillside, killing the pilot and his crewman. The other plunged into the water. This morning, while paratroopers dig in around the settlement, my section of commandos has been sent out to track down the Argentinians. Without proper clothing and equipment which they left behind, it's thought they cannot last long in such appalling conditions. In the early hours of this morning, I returned to the Canberra, where surgeons have been working non-stop on casualties, most of them from the ships damaged during a day of constant airstrikes. One sailor from a frigate told me how 1 minute he was working in the ship's galley, the next he was in the water fighting for his life. A doctor had a similar story. There are 3 Argentine casualties aboard as well. They're now heavily sedated in the ship's temporary hospital. The whole force is now ashore, the bridgehead has been secured, and we've suffered miraculously few casualties. But it hasn't been easy, and Britain's main objective of putting troops ashore in force has been completed in less than 24 hours.
And there'll be more news for you throughout the day as it happens. Well, now on Anglia, it's time for our first programme of the day. It's a spectacular colour feature film entitled Genghis Khan.
Almost 800 years ago,